There's a pattern most men never see until it's too late, and once you see it, you can never unsee it. The moment you start trying to prove your worth to a woman is the exact moment she begins to question it. That sounds backwards, doesn't it? You would think effort earns admiration, loyalty earns security, and sacrifice earns respect. But what if I told you the very things you believe should increase your value are quietly decreasing it in her eyes? What if the late-night reassurance, the over-explaining, the constant availability, the second chances, the third apologies, the "I'll do better" speeches are not signs of strength, but signals that you don't see yourself as the prize? Most men are operating on a hidden belief they've never challenged. If I become more, she will treat me better. So they grind harder, give more, tolerate more, and accept less, all while wondering why her energy shifts, why her tone changes, why her attention drifts. And here's the uncomfortable twist. When a woman senses that you fear losing her more than she fears losing you, the balance tilts, and once that balance tilts, respect quietly erodes. She doesn't wake up one morning planning to devalue you. It happens gradually, subtly, psychologically. It happens when she realizes you're competing for a position that was already yours. It happens when she sees you negotiating standards that should have been non-negotiable. It happens when your desire to keep her outweighs your willingness to walk away. In this video, we're going to unpack the behavioral dynamics behind this shift, the psychological triggers that change attraction into indifference, and the exact reason why trying to earn basic respect is the fastest way to lose it. By the end, you'll understand why the man who is willing to leave holds more power than the man who is willing to stay at any cost. And you may realize that the problem was never that you weren't enough, it's that you were trying to convince someone who benefited from you doubting it. Stay with me, because once you understand this dynamic, you won't move the same way again. I'm not here to debate strangers about definitions or perform masculinity for applause. I'm not here to go back and forth with the world about what a real man is supposed to look like. I'm here for the man who is quietly rebuilding his life when nobody's clapping, the one waking up earlier than he wants to, the one going to bed tired but disciplined, the one carrying regret, lessons, and responsibility all at the same time. I'm here for the man who got blindsided, who trusted and got burned, who gave his loyalty and watched it get mishandled, and instead of collapsing into excuses, decided to reconstruct himself brick by brick. The man learning boundaries after learning pain, the man choosing growth over revenge, the man who doesn't need noise, validation, or a crowd, he just needs clarity. If you are working on yourself in silence, if you are correcting your habits, strengthening your mind, fixing your finances, rebuilding your confidence even when nobody notices, this space is for you. This is not hype. It's not about shouting at the world. It's about men doing the internal work that changes everything. If that's you, subscribe because you're serious about evolution, not entertainment. Leave a comment so I know you're part of the quiet rebuild. No chaos, no theatrics, just disciplined awareness and men raising their standard. Now let's get into it. The first way to prove you are the prize is what I call the removal of the safety net. Behavioral patterns show that when a woman engages in subtle boundary violations, what people call micro-cheating, emotional attention-seeking, entertaining orbiters, it often happens because she believes her primary source of stability is guaranteed. In her mind, you are not a variable, you are a constant. She assumes your time will still be there, your resources will still be there, your emotional support will still be there, regardless of how loosely she handles loyalty. That assumption creates comfort, and comfort without consequences creates carelessness. When a man becomes overly available, when his attention is unlimited, his forgiveness automatic, his investment predictable, his perceived value begins to depreciate, not because he lacks worth, but because certainty removes tension. By removing the safety net, by pulling back excess attention, cutting off unearned perks, refusing to overextend emotionally or financially, you introduce reality back into the equation. You are not playing games, you are correcting imbalance. You are ending what can be called utility exploitation, where premium commitment is exchanged for discounted loyalty. If someone is benefiting from your consistency while offering inconsistency in return, that is not romance, that is asymmetry, and asymmetry always collapses. We also have to examine the neurochemistry of pursuit. When a man chases after being disrespected, when he tries to prove himself harder after boundaries are crossed, he unintentionally shifts the psychological frame. His pursuit amplifies her emotional stimulation, dopamine from being desired, validation from being prioritized, oxytocin from feeling wanted, while simultaneously lowering his own perceived status. The more he performs for approval, the more he reinforces the idea that she is the evaluator and he is the applicant. But a prize does not apply. A prize does not over-explain. A prize does not beg to be chosen. It stands in its value and allows others to qualify themselves. The moment you redirect that energy back into your mission, your fitness, your finances, your purpose, your growth, you create scarcity, and scarcity forces reevaluation. Silence where there used to be chasing creates questions. Distance where there used to be desperation creates curiosity. She begins to wonder what shifted, what changed, who else is receiving that focus. When you stop trying to sell yourself to someone who has mentally unsubscribed, you stop participating in desperation marketing. And the man who stops chasing validation is the man who starts commanding respect without saying a word. Let's look at the path of Elias. Elias was a man who had success on paper, but submission in his heart. When his wife Sarah started hiding her phone and coming home late with excuses about work friends, Elias didn't set a boundary, he set a table. He cooked her favorite meals, he bought her jewelry, and he told her, "I'll do anything to make this work." He explained how much he loved her and how much their family meant. He thought that if he could just be better, she would stop looking. Elias is the loser in our story because he tried to bribe a betrayer. Because Elias was so available and begging, Sarah felt suffocated and superior. She didn't see his love as a gift, she saw it as a duty. In her mind, Elias was the problem because he was weak, and the other man was the prize because he was new and hard to get. Elias spent 2 years in this negotiation until he found out Sarah had used the money from a joint savings account to fund a weekend getaway with the very man Elias was told not to worry about. Elias lost because he didn't realize that you cannot convince a person of your value while you are lying on the floor. He was a victim of the pedestal fallacy, putting a woman on a throne while she was looking for a king who wouldn't let her sit there for free. The second way is the mastery of emotional non-reactivity. Behavioral observations suggest that when a woman is the problem, meaning she is the one breaking the vows and creating the chaos, she will often try to provoke you into an angry outburst. Psychological patterns show that if she can make you lose your cool, she can label you as abusive or unstable. This is a defense mechanism called projective identification. She wants to make you the problem so she can feel safe in her betrayal. By remaining starkly calm and stoic, you prove that you are the prize. You show that your internal state is not dependent on her external chaos. You are the victim of reactive abuse when she pokes the lion just so she can point at the claws. Furthermore, we must address the psychology of the silent audit. Behavioral patterns show that a man who is the prize does not argue about evidence, he observes and acts. When you stop questioning her and start observing her, you reclaim the analytical high ground. Psychological observations suggest that your silence is more terrifying to a guilty woman than your accusations. When you are silent, she cannot gaslight you because you aren't providing any data for her to twist. You are the victim of dialogue exhaustion when you spend your intellect trying to win an argument instead of winning your freedom. The third way is the radical prioritization of self-development. Behavioral observations suggest that the most high-value move a man can make when a relationship is failing is to disappear into his own greatness. Psychological patterns show that when you stop investing in the relationship and start investing in your physique, your finances, and your faith, you are sending a loud subconscious message: I am my own primary project. This is the ultimate proof that you are the prize. You are showing her that while she was distracted by low-value validation, you were building an empire. You are the victim of neglect by proxy when you spend so much time monitoring her actions that you abandon your own growth.
The uncomfortable reality most men resist accepting is that respect is not a bonus feature in a relationship. It is the atmosphere in which love survives. It is the oxygen, the pressure system, the invisible structure that keeps everything alive. And the moment that atmosphere becomes contaminated with deceit, subtle manipulation, emotional indifference, or quiet contempt, you cannot simply breathe harder, try harder, love harder, or perform better your way back into harmony, because no one can function in a space where the air itself is toxic. When respect is polluted, affection suffocates. When trust is corroded, intimacy collapses. And no amount of overcompensating from you can purify an environment she is actively contaminating. Behavioral patterns consistently show that when a woman watches a man elevate, when she sees him becoming sharper, stronger, more disciplined, more focused, more socially respected, while she herself is spiraling into drama, acting out, testing boundaries, or seeking attention elsewhere, something destabilizing happens internally. She experiences a crisis of identity. She begins to feel the psychological discomfort of losing leverage. She senses the shift in power. She realizes that the man she once assumed would always tolerate her inconsistency is no longer negotiating with it. And in that moment, fear sets in. Not necessarily because she suddenly values you more, but because she recognizes she may be losing the best situation she ever secured. But here is the part most men misunderstand. By the time she feels that panic, by the time she senses the loss, by the time she attempts to recalibrate, the prize has already detached. The man who truly understands his value does not wait to be appreciated after being disrespected. He moves. You are, whether you fully embrace it or not, the CEO of your own potential. That means you are responsible for the direction of your growth, the protection of your standards, and the preservation of your self-worth. And it is a dangerous mistake to hand executive control of your confidence, identity, and emotional stability to a temporary partner whose presence in your life is conditional and replaceable. No temporary role should ever have permanent authority over how you see yourself. Now consider another psychological principle, the law of social proof. Human beings subconsciously calibrate their judgments based on how others perceive someone. When a man is widely respected by other men, trusted in his circles, admired in his community, and known for consistency and integrity, it becomes exponentially harder for a woman to successfully frame him as the villain in her narrative without appearing irrational or unstable. Your external reputation functions as a shield. Your discipline becomes evidence. Your consistency becomes testimony. But when you isolate yourself for her, when you cut off friendships, reduce your visibility, shrink your worlds to revolve entirely around maintaining her comfort, you remove the witnesses to your character. And in isolation, even false accusations can gain traction because there is no social proof to counter them. Many men are not destroyed by betrayal alone. They are weakened by having no external reinforcement of their value. Understand this clearly. Being the prize is not arrogance, it is boundary integrity. It is not loud ego, it is quiet self-certainty. It is the biological and social reality that a man who genuinely values himself, who protects his time, his mission, his body, his standards, will inevitably be valued by the broader marketplace of relationships and opportunities. Scarcity creates value. Standards create respect. And when a woman becomes the problem, it is often because she has grown too comfortable in a seat whose cost she has forgotten. She forgets the discipline it took to build you. She forgets the options you could exercise. She forgets that access to you was a privilege, not an entitlement. And you must never reduce yourself to clearance pricing just to avoid being alone. You are far better off remaining a high-value prize that is temporarily unclaimed than allowing yourself to become a discounted item that is easily replaced, poorly treated, and casually discarded.
I don't make videos for the comfortable, the complacent, or the man looking for shortcuts to avoid responsibility. I speak to the man who can look at his own reflection without flinching, who understands that discipline is a decision made in private long before it is visible in public, who can say no to distractions not because someone is policing him, but because he has standards he refuses to betray. If you're here to be entertained but not transformed, this message will feel heavy. If you're here to blame everyone else for your outcomes, it will feel offensive. But if you are the man who is tired of repeating cycles, tired of negotiating your own worth, tired of mistaking tolerance for strength, then you're exactly where you need to be. Most people consume content the way they consume fast food, quickly, passively, and without application. But if you're different, if you're serious about evolution, then don't just watch, commit, subscribe, comment, engage. Not for me, but as a declaration to yourself that you are no longer operating at an average level. Now, let's get into the fourth way you prove you are the prize, the enforcement of a zero-tolerance policy. Behavioral patterns consistently show that boundaries are rarely shattered in one dramatic moment. They are eroded through small tests, subtle provocations, minor acts of disrespect that seem insignificant on the surface. A late reply that feels intentional, a flirtation disguised as a joke, a lie minimized as not a big deal. These are not accidents, they are probes. And when you forgive repeated micro-disrespect without meaningful consequence, you unintentionally teach her that your standards are flexible and your respect is negotiable. Psychology makes this clear. What you tolerate, you validate. The man who hesitates, over-explains, or issues empty warnings communicates uncertainty. The man who calmly withdraws access at the first clear betrayal of character communicates certainty. A prize does not beg to be handled carefully. It removes itself from environments that are careless. A prize does not remain in a dirty room hoping it will be cleaned. It belongs in a sanctuary. When you keep giving one more chance to someone who has shown you a pattern, you are not being compassionate. You are participating in incremental erosion, where each violation increases her boldness and decreases your leverage. The fifth way you prove you are the prize is through the cultivation of a life she cannot access or control. When a man's emotional weather changes based on her mood, when his schedule revolves around monitoring her behavior, when his hobbies disappear and his friendships fade because he is managing her reactions, he shrinks in her perception. Attraction requires space. Respect requires autonomy. The prize has what I call a secret garden, a world of ambitions, routines, business ventures, physical discipline, creative outlets, and brotherhoods that exist independently of her approval. When she sees that you are fulfilled, structured, and progressing whether she applauds you or not, the dynamic shifts. She realizes she is participating in your life, not defining it. The moment your happiness becomes enslaved to her validation, you fall into identity enmeshment, where you cannot distinguish your self-worth from her attention. And that is a dangerous position for any man. Consider the path of Kellen. Kellen understood the currency of attention. He knew that attention is investment, and investment signals value. When he discovered that his girlfriend, Tasha, was quietly keeping her options open on dating apps while they were sharing a home, he did not explode, interrogate, or compete. He did not demand explanations or beg for reassurance. He observed.
he calculated, and then he acted. For 2 weeks, he redirected his energy inward, working late, training twice a day, securing a new apartment, organizing his exit with precision. There were no dramatic confrontations, no emotional speeches. On a quiet Tuesday afternoon, while Tasha was at work, Kellen moved out. On the counter, he left a short note. "I am a man of high standards. You have chosen a life of low transparency. We are no longer aligned. I wish you well." That was it. No chaos, no pleading, no second act. Because the ultimate proof that you are the prize is not how loudly you argue your value, it is how calmly you remove it when it is mishandled. Kellen is the winner in our story because he used action as the only explanation. By not giving Tasha the satisfaction of an argument, he kept his mystery and his power. He didn't give her data to use against him. Tasha spent months trying to contact him, crying about how she made a mistake, but Kellen had already de-indexed her from his life. He won because he realized that the prize does not stay to argue with a person who doesn't recognize its value. Today, Kellen is with a woman who guards his heart because she knows he is a man who walks when the vow is broken. He was a master of total frame control, proving that his presence was a privilege she had revoked through her own actions.
The sixth and final way is the audit of the value add. Behavioral observations suggest that if you sit down and look at the hard data of your relationship, you will often find that you are the one adding value: time, money, protection, stability, while she is adding stress, chaos, doubt, infidelity, criticism. Psychological patterns show that when you see the imbalance clearly, you stop feeling like the problem. You realize that you are the investor in a failing enterprise. By stopping the investment, you prove you are the prize. You are the capital. She is the liability. You are the victim of emotional deficit spending when you keep giving to a person who is bankrupt of integrity. Furthermore, consider the biology of the sovereign male. Behavioral observations show that when a man stops chasing a woman who is disrespecting him, his testosterone levels often begin to normalize. The stress of the chase and the anxiety of the betrayal are cortisol spikers. Psychological observations suggest that your health is the ultimate prize. When you walk away from a problem woman, your body begins to heal. You look better, you sleep better, and you lead better. You are the victim of relational toxicity when you stay in a fire and wonder why you are burning. The reality is that the prize is the man who has internalized his worth. He doesn't need her to tell him he is a good man because he has the results to prove it. Behavioral patterns show that confidence is the absence of the need for external validation. If she is the problem, it is her loss to manage, not your problem to fix. You are the captain of your own ship. If a passenger is drilling holes in the hull, you don't explain why the boat should stay afloat. You lower the lifeboat and let them sink with their own choices. I have a smart question for the men who have the stoic clarity to finish this session on the reclamation of the prize. If you were the owner of a professional sports team and you had a star player who was missing practice, insulting the fans, and talking to the rival team behind your back, would you give them a raise to make them happy, or would you trade them for a better asset immediately? You are the owner. The player is the problem. Stop paying the salary of a traitor. Drop a comment below and tell the Brotherhood, what was the one boundary you finally set that made her realize you weren't the weak man she thought you were? How did your life improve the moment you stopped apologizing for being the best thing that ever happened to her? Share your sovereign stats. Your execution might be the inspiration for a brother who is currently begging for crumbs. Let's build the Council of Sovereign Men together. If you made it the whole way through, I genuinely appreciate you. That tells me you're not just watching, you're thinking, you're reflecting, you're working on yourself, and you're not alone in that anymore. There's a community here of men choosing growth over excuses. If this message gave you something valuable, subscribe and be part of it. Leave a comment, I read them, and your voice matters here. Keep doing the work. I'll see you in the next one.